my pleasure to officially welcome the chairman or chairperson of the Zimbabwe Human Rights Commission, Dr. J. Majongo, to this high-level multi-stakeholder engagement, where we gather to discuss the progress made and what needs to be done in implementing the recommendations of the National Inquiry on Access to Documentation. Let me extend my uttermost appreciation to all the guests at this workshop, who among them consists of our traditional leaders, the civil registry officials, commissioners and staff of the ZH, RC, senior government officials, and all you invited guests. On behalf of the Manicaland family, I wish to thank His Excellency, the President of the Republic of Zimbabwe, Dr. Emmerson Mnangagwa, for fully supporting the inquiry into access to documentation, which is being spearheaded by the Zimbabwe Human Rights Commission. Further, the program aligns very well with President E.D. Mnangagwa's mantra, leaving no one and no place behind. Therefore, the program needs to be implemented with great vigor to ensure that all people have access to national documents. More so, the implementation of recommendations from this national inquiry contributes to the achievement of SDGs, especially under Goal 16, including birth registration by 2030. This inquiry into documentation by citizens is a very pertinent matter that deserves the attention of various stakeholders, most of whom are here today. Let me hasten to mention that documentation is a right that forms the foundation of access to other vital services that are critical to the growth and development of an individual, that is education, medical assistance, travel, and employment. Guest of honor, Manicaland province is a big beneficiary of your inquiry, as the province at large encounters problems with borderline communities who face challenges with access to national documents. In Manicaland, Cyclone Idai-affected communities have faced numerous challenges in terms of getting birth and death certificates. Therefore, my office welcomes ZHRC's initiative and would be happy to hear progress made with regards to people accessing their national documents after the Cyclone Idai effects in Chimanimani and Chipinge areas. In addition, we also have the refugee community at the Tongoka Refugee Settlement, which was established in 1984. The settlement is home to refugees from many countries across Africa, and the National Inquiry is a welcome program that should also assist refugees in terms of their stay in the country and access to various services in Zimbabwe. There have been notable developments in Manicaland province to promote access to documentation by citizens. During the 2023 elections, communities benefited free documentation services which were decentralized to hard-to-reach areas. Government carried a blitz registration exercise to register survivors of the Cyclone Idai, as I have mentioned, whose documents were lost during flooding. Government successfully declared dead all 300 Cyclone Idai missing persons in 2024. Therefore, beneficiaries can now use the death certificates to access civil documentation, insurances, and other services that could not be accessed since 2019. The government is in the process of capacitating village heads who have been given a mandate to assist with the documentation. The role of the traditional leaders in the issuance of documents cannot be understated in this regard. Relatively, government has decentralized the digital passport office to Chipinge, and this has significantly reduced the distance traveled to access documentation, which was a prison for those in Harare. The government is constructing a new building for the civil, let me say, as if that is not enough. The government is constructing a new building for the civil registry department, and this will house a state-of-the-art passport office. The building is 90% complete.
Putting our heads together for very practical and very meaningful issues that affect us all in our daily lives, in our quest or all of us, to make the life of each and every Zimbabwean and everyone in Zimbabwe better in a very practical way. Our mutual interest is to protect, promote, and enforce the human rights of all Zimbabweans, and for them to particularly enjoy their constitutional right to access documentation that is vital in terms specifically of Section 35, subsection 3, paragraphs B and C of our Constitution that categorically provide that every citizen of Zimbabwe has a right to access basic documentation, documentation regarding the state and their identity, and everything else that follows. I say this provision because I want to believe that as Zimbabweans we've come a very long way in this constitutional dispensation to a point where the right to access that documentation is clearly enshrined as a right of a citizen, when previously, dating from before independence even, it was a privilege. And even after independence, it was a privilege that one had to go through hoops and firings to access. But we are at a point where it is a constitutional right to obtain it. So the Zimbabwe Human Rights Commission is a national human rights institution for Zimbabwe that is mandated to protect, promote, and enforce human rights and administrative justice. I need to underscore then that it's one of those facts that we want to be known more and more, that indeed our name is the term human rights. We are a human rights commission, but we are also the public protector of Zimbabwe. That is the ombudsperson that is joined and empowered by the Constitution to ensure that Zimbabweans enjoy administrative justice wherever they are, and that they do not experience maladministration by state officials when state officials are giving or supposed to be giving services to Zimbabweans. And the issue that we are gathered here today is one such subject matter that shows the importance of the intersection between human rights and administrative justice, that is the access to documentation as well as the use of documentation by the state.
Blessing Chaipa, the director when the Deaf Center, in the Pamtari Sakuva. The National Inquiry, feedback to stakeholders. So, project yavanga vachita yekuita kuti vanhu vawane maidentity documents zvisinei nekuti vane urema here kana kuti havana. So isusu senzeve tinoshanda kunyanya nevana vasinganzwi nevabereki nemayuthi zvekare. Saka dambudziko ratainyanya kuwana nderekuti vakaenda kunorejista vachida maidentity documents yemtauro ndoyanyanyonesa kuti hapana communication barrier yekuti vataure kuti vari kuda kubatsirwa nezvipi. Asi nekufamba kwenguva tikuona zvichisanduka kuti the registry office is now more open and takukwanisa kuvabatsira kuvasapota because sometimes vanenge vasina that capacity to really interpret. So we partner with them tichivabatsira kucommunicate kuitira kuti vana vane urema hwekusanzwa kana vanhu vakuru vakwanise kuwana maidentity documents. So tikuona shanduko ipapo uyezve kuti information yekuti maidentity documents anotorwa sei zvinofamba sei yainonoka kusvika kune vanhu vasinganzwi nekuda kwekuti pazvinenge zvataurwa pamwe hapana ane sign language avainterpretera. Saka isu takatora basa iroro kuti tikurukure the constituents we work with kuti vanzwisise the importance kunyanyanyanya yekuti sei vachifanira kunge vaine maidentity documents ende zvinobatsirei. Dambudziko mombe ratinoona nderekuti vabereki kana kuti mhuri dzinononoka kugamuchira vana vanenge vaine urema. Saka vanotora nguva vasina kuvatorera maID kana mabheri nekuti vanenge vasina kunyatsa kuvagamuchira. Saka ndo zvimwe zvatinoshanda nevabereki kuti vakasike kugamuchira vana vavo kuitira kuti vakwanise kuvatorera mabirth certificate nezvimwe zvinobatsira kuti upenyu hwavo hurema.
My name is Paul Chingeta. Starangu, Mazarangu, Chief Makumbe Upoyera. So that's na Batane Oni, one is HRC, determining implementation of documentation right now is implement, because when it comes to certain facilities like birth certificates, it's now easy and access to get birth certificates. It's also easy and access as well to get death certificates, because we as the traditional chiefs, we were empowered to also help in certain instances with for a number of my and is to change the information here. Also, we're also empowered traditional leaders to then help them and assist them in documentation.